Friends, I've been keeping a secret from all of you. We have had a top secret project that we've been going on for the last 2 years or so that I haven't been able to say anything about, but now the time has come and I'm about to tell you about how we just built one of the more technologically advanced and capable Blackhawk helicopters in the entire world. That guy right there. This thing is an absolute monster, and I'm gonna show you exactly why I say it's so advanced. Today, you're gonna join us as we grab this helicopter and fly it from Thoroughbred Aviation in Kentucky back home to the West Coast. You guys are gonna love this. This helicopter is insane. I've never flown anything like it, and I literally cannot even wait. So, let's get in this bad boy. Let's go. Guys, you already know where I'm at. You've seen this place before. When I close my eyes and think about what heaven is like, it's Joe's shop right here in Lexington, Kentucky. The C-20B, the same?
Yeah. And you can put a C-30 in an event.
So, Joe's telling me right now, this MD-500 right here is the D model. That's like the old kind of round nose, looks the most like the Hughes 369. So Joe now does a conversion called the Super D, and it uses basically the same C-20 engine, but it puts longer main rotor blades on it. It extends the tail boom by what, 12 inches or so? Yeah. It obviously new drive shafts. Everything is just a little bit longer, the airframe. And looking at the specs right here, that thing, it gained over 300 pounds worth of lifting capacity, which is a huge deal for these things. Like that's like 25-30% increase in weight, in useful load. And then it dropped fuel consumption. So normally they burn around 35 gallons per hour. Now it's burning 28, 29. So it became more efficient. It became able to lift more. On paper, they're supposed to do the same speed, but Joe says this one probably outruns all the other D models around here. And it's only like, when I say only, it's relative speaking, because we're talking helicopter numbers, and helicopter numbers just nothing makes sense, but 350-ish, 300. So 350 grand, you can convert your D model into just a monster. All right guys, it's lunchtime. As many of you know, we are on the road a lot, which means we are forced to eat a lot of fast food, which is not ideal, but it is what it is. Sometimes you just gotta make do. So to make that process a little less painful, we're gonna use the sponsor of today's video, which is the Upside app. So check this out. I opened the Upside app and I'm going to look for restaurants in the area that are participating in the program. They offer you cash back on whatever purchase you make. So if you have to buy fuel, groceries, food, any of that stuff, basically what you'll do is you'll open the app and you'll look around and see all the participating stores. Like for example, Carl's Jr. sounds good. And if I click on that, I get 18% cash back on my order. So literally all I gotta do is boom, click that. Now I go to Carl's Jr. and I use the card that I have on file, because I just keep a card like in the app, and it automatically tracks it. So every time I use this, I get to see up at the top of my Upside app, hey, you now have $20, $30, $100. In fact, Upside is paying out over $1 million a week in cash back to its users, which is nuts. All right, so you roll up, place your order, or if you're getting fuel, you go up and grab the fuel pump and fill up your vehicle. And the craziest part is, Upside has given $1 billion cash back to its users last year alone. So guys, all that's left for you to do is give it a try. I have a feeling you're gonna love it, because I actually really do. Click the link in my description below and download the free Upside app. Use the code SPARKS and they're gonna give you an additional 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first tank of fuel. Couldn't be happier with it. So thank you, Upside, for sponsoring the video, and thank you guys for supporting Upside, because without them, we can't do what we do. Thanks for the cash back, Upside. All right, my friends, we are ready to rock and roll. Just went through the whole kind of initiation here with the test pilot who knows this system and this aircraft very well. He's actually the one who did the testing on my Blackhawk when it was down here. So this is a totally different helicopter as far as like the configuration goes than mine. On this one, the client wanted to go balls to the wall. So it's got full Garmin glass display, a company called Ace Aeronautics or something like that. They basically go through and they go to Garmin and say, hey, we want to retrofit one of your systems to a Blackhawk. So they go through like millions and millions of dollars of R&D and years of like paperwork to be able to get approved to put Garmin cockpit in a Blackhawk. So that is a pretty neat feature. Really all it changes is kind of the way you see your engine information, and then your navigation. Obviously you've got all kinds of navigation. Your comms, your radios are all digital now. But as far as like the startup goes, like the throttle, all the controls, all that stuff's exactly the same as pretty much every other Blackhawk out there. So all of that is just muscle memory for me. I don't know how much I love it yet. I mean, it's probably going to be, I'm used to what I'm used to, right? I know what I know. This is designed to be streamlined and make the flight process smoother, faster, safer, everything. But there's a learning curve to get there. And I fly with Garmin stuff in a bunch of different aircraft. It's just, this is a lot in a helicopter that I'm very familiar with one certain way. So just taking some time to get used to it, but it's a beautiful helicopter. I'm really excited to fly it. It's very light. It's like 12,000 pounds, maybe, and a little bit of change. These things can max gross up to 22,000 pounds. So there's a ton of meat left on the bone for us to be able to go fast. The client wanted FLIR on this thing, which is basically the forward-looking infrared camera, big ball that mounts out the front of this thing so we can do like search and rescue at night. It's not on here right now, thankfully, because with that installed, it takes our top speed, like the allowable top speed, it brings it back like 40 knots, which is a huge difference. Because right now we could probably cruise this thing home at like 160, 165, which is super fast for a helicopter. The snow camo, client wanted it. It looks amazing. I am concerned, however, though, that it's gonna look good for now, but every helicopter you'll ever see, there's a reason why most helicopters, especially Army helicopters, are like black or dark green or whatever. When the smoke and the exhaust comes out of the turbines, it has a tendency to just stick to the airframe. So this whole area, like you can already see, this is from like 5 or 10 hours of test flights. This is all gonna turn like just a nasty dark black charcoal color, and no matter how much you wash it, it's just kind of soak into the paint. So we're gonna load up and head south because I have another surprise to show you guys, but I'm not gonna tell you just yet. Our next stop, I'm gonna show you rather than tell you, because this isn't the only new helicopter that's joining the family. You'll see what I'm talking about. So let's go. All right, so we just landed in Huntsville, Alabama, and that was the first kind of maiden voyage flight that we had in the new Blackhawk. We're gonna call this the Snowhawk. It's got the snow camo, and that was my first time flying with a Garmin screen and all that kind of stuff. Very nice helicopter, great setup. There was a lot going on that flight. It was super windy, super bumpy. Remember, the system's all brand new, so there's little lights and stuff flickering and flashing, sensors that need to be recalibrated and stuff like that. So the workload was very heavy, but ultimately we got here and it was great. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what are you doing in Huntsville, Alabama? Well, I've got some news for you guys. This is a big, I don't even, like, I was gonna do a separate video for this, I bought another Blackhawk. And my black one that I've had forever, she's selling, getting rid of her, and we're replacing her with this new one. And I am so freaking pumped to come see this thing, because I haven't even seen it yet. I bought it from the Army and had it shipped over to XP Services, my friends who are kind of, if you ever seen the Blackhawks on the internet that are like the coolest Blackhawks, they got every bell, whistle, trinket, attachment. Remember the first video when I got mine and I had some other guys flying in their Blackhawk with the motorcycles on the side of it? That's XP Services. They are the dudes, king of the hill in the Blackhawk world. We decided to work with them more intensely on this new helicopter. So they picked it up from, I have something in my shirt. There we go. So they picked it up from the auction for us and from the Army, and they brought it over here to their facility where they're doing some inspections and prepping it and getting ready to get ready for us to come pick it up. So let's say hello to the guys here and then get in there and show you. My friends, there she is. This is 518. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl yet. I still gotta go look under there and see, but this is my new Blackhawk. And as you can see, it looks different than my old Blackhawk did. It is not black. It's got an Army camo paint job. The story behind this Blackhawk is pretty wild. The US had a program where they were basically building helicopters to give to the Afghan Army. So they took this one out of service, fully rebuilt everything, put like basically all brand new parts in it, got it fully ready to go, did some mods to it that you don't typically see with Army Blackhawks here in the States, just because it was going to Afghanistan so they could do things a little bit differently. And then that program got canceled. So then the Army, I think, passed it over to Border Patrol, US Customs Border Patrol. They couldn't use it, didn't need it, didn't have a home for it or whatever, so the Army decided to sell it, and I ended up with it. And it is so clean. And like I said, it's got some mods that my other one didn't have that we really couldn't do. One of them, it's got a trap door. You know that this one's got the trap door?
It does have the trap door, which is
yeah,
dude,
that's so pumped.
That's how John's gonna fly around every time we go.
There's John.
John or
Look
Alex?
up, there's rooms to lay down in there. That's so bitchin'.
So you know those two storage units up here? You can actually access them from in here. So you can get up there and put your stuff up in those little cargo nets up to the right.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You know, we found.
Is this your first time seeing it in person?
In person, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I looked at it when we were bidding on it. He sent me the picture and he's like, should I do it? Of course I'm always all in because it's not my money. And yeah, when it actually happened, it's freaking sweet.
Morning, sir. We're here.
Morning.
All right, so we're back here at the hangar. We're just like a mile or two down the road from where the Army actually sells these, their depot. And we are with XP Services. You guys remember XP Services when I got my first Blackhawk, came down to haul it out? That's these guys. So this is my friend, John Wellington. John is a former 160th Night Stalker guy. So these guys have a ton of experience doing the cool shit with the helicopters. Not only do they have the ability to build cool helicopters, but they've also got a lot of time flying these and understanding the capabilities. So they know just how much these helicopters can actually take. And so this time around on my new bird, we're gonna have these guys help me out with it. You know, when I first saw this thing on the auction, I was talking with them a little bit and, hey, give me your opinion, let me know what you think about it. And we came to the consensus that this is a very, very unique helicopter. It's a very unique alpha model.
We actually were bidding against you.
Yeah, we found that out after the fact. I should have called you before the auction. We were sitting there bidding, and I was actually on a flight to Vegas. I was like, I'm gonna lose service. I'm not gonna have a good signal. And then luckily it just stopped and I was the winner, which is nice because ultimately the Blackhawk community is very small. Everybody knows each other for better or worse. And fortunately, these are guys who have consistently just deliver on the love, support, you know, just being problem solvers that can also do really cool shit. So where do we start on this thing? What do you think?
Well, first of all, you said something about the paint job. What do you think of the paint job? Do you like it?
I like it. The only thing I don't, there's a lot of tan. But if we start changing it, then we kind of got to change the whole thing, as my thought. So I actually don't mind it. I might do the wheels black.
The one thing, that you guys just told me about is obviously Alpha models didn't come out with ESSS provisions on it. The only ones that did were EH birds. Those were sent away years ago. We actually have one. Actually, that one out there is an EH. And that is the reason we bought that Alpha, is for the ESSS provisions on it.
In the Army, you use those as weapons mounts, or?
So originally they were for fuel,
Okay.
230-gallon tanks hanging off big wings out here. We used to fly them all the time.
That consists of basically the mounting down here, plus some brackets.
A lot of structure.
Some structure, yeah.
Yeah.
This
Total-
whole thing is
whole new
structural.
new structure.
The reason why that's important is the snowmobile platform that we have on my other Hawk. We had to mount these after the fact because it ties into not only the cargo hook, but it's got supports that come out right here and tie into that. So talking with them before I actually saw this bird, I was like, hey, we're gonna figure out a way to get those things potentially installed. And we were looking, there's a mod where you can do it. It's a decent amount of work, but it has it. And so we're pumped on that. That's a huge win.
Looking inside this aircraft, there's a lot of demilitarization that has to be done. So there's a lot of equipment. We have chaff and flares when missiles and rockets fire at you, right? Just depend on different things that will shoot off. So I take those canisters off, but there's control systems in here. So in the middle, there's a bunch of holes right now that they've pulled all that equipment out, SATCOM radios and those kind of things. So we've got to fill in these holes. Either we put new equipment in, we put new radios in. Some of the things in here that you can still see that they don't take out is this little guy right here. So what it is, this is a Kevlar plate that comes down and slides forward. Aircraft are made, because weight's a big issue, I mean, they're made of sheet metal and it's thin. A bullet or something will go through the aircraft from one side to the other. Nothing will stop it. I mean, I've seen one go through the side, through the roof, through a drive shaft, through a blade, and out. Clean shot. So that being said, they'll put Kevlar on it, but even Kevlar, after a lot of it gets really heavy. So they'll put some in vital places underneath your butt. There'll be Kevlar in case a bullet comes underneath, right? And then right here, the door is super thin, but this piece comes down and slides over, so you have at least a little bit of protection for your vital areas, right? So things like that are still here in it. There's some other Kevlar plates in there that we'll end up taking out. That's part of the process. Get rid of all the military stuff and then replace some of it with civilian stuff. But the big thing is, it makes this bird so light. When you're flying this thing in the military, your base weight, you're like you're in the 16,000s, which doesn't give you a lot of room for personnel and bags. I mean, sometimes in Afghanistan they would have 4 to 5 guys in the back and with their gear, and that was maxed out because of the altitudes and the weight of the bird. So yeah, so this little thing right here, you can see when you get in, pop that, got a little.
I feel like you maybe want to keep that, right?
Little protection.
Yeah,
Oh, they're not taking this out.
Yeah,
Like,
no shot.
yeah, this is called the Dave's hiding zone.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is just kind of.
Should we test it?
Who's flying? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
Who's
know.
flying?
Yeah, I don't
Is it
even know
Timu Dave or is it real Dave?
Yep.
Can you tell from the eyes?
Yep. Yep. I mean, maybe. Yeah.
Just don't look at the belly, right? I mean, or the height. I mean, I'll put a little booster in so it looks like I'm taller.
All the same lane now.
So, yeah, that's right. All you gotta do is just pop.
There you go.
Oh, well, and woo!
All right, guys. So we're wrapping up here with the XP Services guys. I'm just cannot express to you how pumped I am to be able to have guys who fly the helicopters the way that I want to fly my helicopter, guys who have been in the military, guys who have spent time in combat in these things, guys who have spent time in the civilian sector. They know these helicopters and what I'm trying to do with them so well. So we just made a solid game plan for my new bird, which I still don't have a name for yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. So right now we just call it the camo or the Afghan bird. Definitely not gonna keep the name Afghan bird, but as you guys can see, it's a very unique, very special Blackhawk, which is the only reason why I'm willing to get rid of my first one, because your first love is the one you remember the most, and that my first Blackhawk is a pretty special helicopter, and it's still a great helicopter, but I've found a good home that it can go to. It's still going to be very much connected to us and what we do, so it's not like it's going overseas or anything like that. Like, it's going to stay pretty much in the family, and then we're just going to add another member of the family, so it's going to expand our fleet and our opportunities to continue to do more search and rescue, more movie work, more things with the Blackhawks, with more support and better people. So we got a long flight ahead of us still back to St. George is where we're headed right now. So we're gonna do say goodbye to our friends here, get in the air, and get out of here.
Right now, we are dealing with one of the most technologically advanced Blackhawk cockpits in the world. So right here in front of me, you've got the Garmin G5000. Now, in order to be able to put a Garmin system in a Blackhawk like this, you can't just go buy the parts and put it in. You have to do what's called an STC, and that's basically an approval process that you go through with the FAA that says, hey, all of our components and systems work properly with the UH-60, which didn't originally come with these parts. Because this Lima model Blackhawk originally came with basically a lot of analog gauges and no touch screen, nothing. Whereas now, pretty much everything is touchscreen. So the whole entire instrument panel was completely gutted and it installed brand new components. So all of those engine data, aircraft data, everything is plugging right here into the screen in front of me. We can hit a button here. It's going to give you a full overview. There you go. So right there on the screen, it's pretty cool. This shows you just kind of a high-level overview of all the systems on the Hawk, what's working, what's not. Like if we shut an engine off, it's going to light up an engine on that display and show us which engine is out. But also, pretty hefty learning curve to be able to figure out how to use all this stuff. It is completely different than what I have flown with my Blackhawk. So this is not just a leisurely flight for me. This has been very much a learning process because I do have a lot of time playing with Garmin stuff, but not Garmin stuff in the Blackhawk. So I'm relearning systems. Then we've got two touch screens down here, which are kind of the master control head units that control all of our displays. And then you've got those also control our radios. And then you have a flight director system, which is basically autopilot. Outside of that, you've got a lot of the same Blackhawk controls that every Blackhawk has, such as my throttle and fuel quadrant, all the same. I got my two throttle levers, I got the fuel on and off, I got my fire handles, I got my APU, generator, battery, light. This helicopter also has an upgraded cargo hook. You can get a modernized, nicer hook that does not have to have a squib. The squib is basically an explosive charge. So if you have a hook, like a long line load off the bottom of the helicopter, and it gets snagged on something, or for some reason you got to get rid of it immediately, boom, you hit the squib, and it basically blows up and launches the hook off the helicopter and releases the load and keeps the aircraft safe. What's cool is right here on the display in front of me, it's got a hook load gauge. So that tells me how much weight I'm going to have on the hook at any given time, which is pretty neat. Right here next to me, got one of my favorite components on the helicopter from Heavydsparks. This is your fire tank controller. My client wanted to build this helicopter so that it could do search and rescue, that could do private use, it could fight fires. Basically, it's supposed to be kind of the Swiss Army knife of Blackhawks. Do everything and do everything very well. So this helicopter has the ability to go fight fires with a big tank that goes on the belly, and then all that, the water dropping control, the checking my gallons fast and everything is all done right here on the Heavydsparks tank controller. You move it towards the back, and you've got one of the most expensive upgrades that this helicopter has, and it's called the shot over. The shot over is basically a infrared camera that mounts on the front of the helicopter. So if we're doing search and rescue, and we're trying to find somebody in the mountains at night, and visibility for us, they can actually control that big camera ball on the front of the helicopter to look and see, to scan the area, and you can find like heat signatures, so you can find missing people. It's a very, very cool component. Everything that we've done to this helicopter was designed to just make it faster, more powerful, smoother, more efficient, safer, more capable, and also look really good while doing it. As you can see, it has a snow camo paint job. This is also the Lima model. They went to the Lima model, it's the L model, and the L model is very similar to the Alpha, but it's got a beefier transmission, so it can handle more of the engine power. So you can pull up to 125% torque with two engines, which is crazy because my UH-60 Alpha Plus can only pull up to 100%. Speeds are about the same. This helicopter, we've been into a headwind pretty much this whole trip so far, so we haven't been able to break more than about 150 of headwind, we'd be cranking away at like every bit of 160, 165 knots, which is just absolutely astonishingly fast for a helicopter. The value of this one is probably in the $12 to $15 million range, so half the price of a new one, but it's got all brand new components.
All right, you guys ready to see what this bad girl's made of? Come with me. First of all, we started with a UH-60 L model, which is the Lima model. In the cockpit of this helicopter, you will see a full Garmin glass panel. This is the first UH-60 Lima model in the world with full Garmin glass. Down here, the whole center console has been completely redesigned and relaid out. It's got a full Garmin flight director system, which is basically autopilot. But I will say that right now, unfortunately, this kit was originally supposed to have the full Garmin autopilot, but that has not been finished for this helicopter yet, just because the company that did this conversion still hasn't finalized their autopilot. It was supposed to have been done. It's kind of one of the reasons why this thing got delayed so long. But this right here is well over $1 million alone in just the glass panel. And I'm not sitting here trying to tell you this is better than any, you know, military Blackhawk out there, or any, you know, some of the private civilian and contracting Blackhawks. I'm just trying to say this is up there. It has so much technology and capability built into it. Starting with the nose, it's not on here right now, but this is called a shot over mount. This has like a giant ball on here that looks like those big movie cameras, but what it really is a FLIR camera, forward-looking infrared. So you've got your crew in the back, grabs this panel, and this touchscreen right here allows the rear operator to toggle the camera, move it around, and you can scan the entire mountainside. You can scout any terrain, and the infrared heat signature of any person or animal or whatever will pop up on here and allow us to find them in the most remote, hard to find places possible. Is another like $1 million upgrade or more. The client wanted the snow camo paint job. Joe and his whole team at Thoroughbred Aviation completely stripped it down to the bare metal and bare materials, and primer, sealant, this, that, like 19 different coats of all sorts of important steps that you're supposed to do to get a really high class solid paint job. It is one of the best aircraft paint jobs I've ever seen. And it better be, because it was expensive, but I think it was well worth it. So it's got upper and lower hard mounts. These allow you to mount things such as like stub wings, or like rocket launchers, or external equipment like the snowmobile platform that we have. Look up here, this is where the fun starts. That right there is an Aerometals intake system. That's a barrier inlet filter. Basically what that is a giant K&N filter for the big turbine engine, because believe it or not, the Blackhawks from the military come with basically just a wide open intake. Mine has a wide open intake, which means when you land out in the dust or the sand, you're just sucking in all that junk and hoping and praying you don't suck in something big enough that it's going to damage your compressor wheels, which I have done before, and it's not cheap and it's not fun. So this system right here protects those, you know, engines that are well over $1 million each. And then that system comes also with a straight pipe kit. So if you guys thought straight pipes were only for trucks, you're wrong, because this helicopter has a full-blown straight exhaust stack, and it's like a 24-inch exhaust. It's massive. The exhaust is allowed to flow freely straight out the back, which allows for better exhaust flow and removes a ton of weight, and it just looks cooler, sounds cooler. Everything about that system just protects the engines and makes sure they're running as, you know, dialed as possible. Then, as you guys saw in here, we have the rescue hoist. This bad boy right here is one of my favorite parts of the helicopter, because this is what allows you to go save lives on the side of mountains. You can fly into any location. If somebody's stuck on a cliffside or whatever, you can put a rescuer, you can hook them into here, you can lower them down to a victim, you can grab that victim, hook them up on a harness, or put them in a basket or a litter, and then lift them back up to the helicopter safely and swing them inside, and they're safe and good to go. This right here is, well, it's a few $100,000 hoist, and you can see it's not just a regular old winch. This thing has got, I want to say, a couple 100 feet of cable that can spool out, so you can go down and pick people up super low. It's got a 600-pound capacity, so it can haul 2 people easily, and it's got a remote right here. So the operator sits in here and operates the hoist. It also even has a cable cutter, so if for some reason this gets snagged on something, or the helicopter's going down and they don't want to land on the victim, you hit one button, the cable cutter goes slice, cuts the cable. It's a very, very robust, very safe system, very capable system, and this winch is fast. This is what like the Coast Guard uses. This is what all rescue helicopters use, this or something similar to it. Right here, it's called a BLR fast fin. You can see this giant hump here is different than most Blackhawks that you'll see. They don't have it. The reason for this, and this notch cut out on the tail right here, what it does is it gives the tail rotor authority, or it gives the tail rotor of the Blackhawk way more authority. What that means is it's way more effective. It cut out a chunk of that rear tail, and what that means is air can flow through here more freely, which allows you more thrust, which gives you more pedal power, which means you can hold a hover at high altitudes without worrying about the helicopter spinning. And this guy, hump right here, is only on the one side. And the reason for that is this changes the way the airflow comes down from the blades and around the body of the helicopter. It speeds it up on one side, slows it down on the other side, and that creates a high and a low pressure area, which in turn gives the helicopter more tail rotor authority. The BLR fast fin is one of my favorite upgrades on these helicopters, and in fact it's probably going to be the next one I do on my Blackhawk, because it just gives you so much more tail rotor authority, so much more efficiency, and just that extra level of safety and power and capability to be able to do those high altitude, hot temperature, just risky missions. You'll see right up here, the blades have been completely repainted. They look brand new, but it's not just paint. Around the front leading edge of that blade is this like rubber-like material that's called dragon skin. It's a new coating that's available in the helicopter world that basically protects the leading edge of those helicopter blades from all the sand and bugs and just all the debris that helicopters have to fly through, because you'll see it's just like they get sandblasted nonstop because of all the things that run into them. Well, this stuff protects the blade, keeps all the corrosion out of the blade, and gives you this, I think it's like a lifetime warranty or lifetime guarantee on never wearing out. All right, let's talk. We got some catching up to do. All right, so we're back home, and I'm back here at my hangar with my Blackhawk that I'm very much in love with. This is a very special helicopter to me. But before I wrap up this video, I promised you guys some updates on the whole aviation side of our business. When I started flying helicopters, my goal was to be able to at least fly, if not own, like pretty much every different kind of helicopter. So when I get an opportunity to fly a new airframe or a new model that I've never flown before, that's a really big deal for me. And as part of that, I've learned how to be able to buy and sell these things as part of my business model. So people think, you know, a lot of times when they see us with all these different aircraft, they're like, well, what do you need so many helicopters for? Why do you need 3 helicopters? Why do you need so many different airplanes? And the reality is, it's kind of a multi-phase approach. First, I do it because I love it. Something I'm very passionate about, and it's the coolest job in the world. Second, I do it because it's a business of ours. We buy and sell aircraft. So typically, just like we do with trucks, we buy from the auction, bring it back to the shop, fix it up, refurbish it, and sell it for a profit. Same type of thing happens with the aircraft. We're able to buy these things, whether it's from like an air ambulance company or the Army, in the case of the Blackhawk. We get helicopters and aircraft from all over the place, and the plan is to then bring them in and figure out how much work we're going to do on them to be able to fly them, enjoy them, obviously make them safe, get some content with them, and then figure out whether we're going to sell them or not. As I went into this process of owning these different aircraft and I experienced what the Blackhawk is capable of, I kind of decided that a Blackhawk I should always at least have one Blackhawk. Like it's hard, once you've had a Blackhawk, once you've owned one and once you've been able to use one for the things that we use them for rescues and transporting and just the most amazing experience ever, it's really hard to go back from that. I mean, the only step that would be appropriate would be a step forward, which is why a few videos back we went and looked at the CH-46, basically the mini Chinook helicopter out in Carson City with our friend Rick. And we've been kind of dabbling in all sorts of different aircraft ever since. A while back, we posted a video about a Huey that I bought. And a lot of you said, hey, where's the update on the Huey? What's going on? I bought this Huey. It was a really low time, really unique model. It was a Victor model, had pretty much all the parts and pieces there. It just needed to be put back together. But rather than just put it back together and get it kind of like the bare minimum flying, I wanted to do a bunch of upgrades. I wanted to do the bigger 1800 horsepower engine. I wanted to do the composite main rotor blades. I wanted to do new tail rotor blades. I wanted to do the fast fin. I wanted to do a cargo hook. I wanted to do new avionics. Now I paid about $300,000 for that helicopter with all the parts and pieces. And it was still a pretty good deal. But as I started doing the math to figure out, how much it was going to cost to build that thing up to basically become a super Huey, which is what I wanted it to be. The price tag was looking at like close to like $2 million. That's just kind of standard in the aviation world. Like you start modifying aircraft, it adds up really quick. The problem is, if I were to take even $1 million and spend it on that Huey, then I'd be into it, 1.3 to 1.5. Then I have a really, nice Huey. There's nicer ones on the market because you could easily spend $2, $3, $4 million on one to make them insanely nice. But at the end of the day, it's still limited in what it can do. And the reason I say that is because Hueys, maximum they're ever going to lift is around 4,000 pounds. Fastest they're ever going to fly is maybe 120 knots, and that's pushing it. That's if you have like the main rotor composite blades and all that kind of stuff. So the reality is I was going to get a helicopter that I was going to be into almost as much as I was my first Blackhawk. Then I was going to have a helicopter that couldn't go as fast. It wasn't as modern. It was single engine. It could only lift about half of what the Blackhawk can lift. The market for Hueys has really kind of started to go down a little bit, simply because Hueys used to be the only thing that did firefighting contracts. They used to be the only thing, like the main helicopter that was out there doing all the heavy lift work. Well, ever since the Army started selling Blackhawks, all of those companies that have those contracts have started looking at Blackhawks and they've started buying them. So it's pretty much the standard now. If you're going to go get a contract fighting fires in the Forest Service, you need to have a Blackhawk. Or if you're going to go get a big utility contract setting power lines or ski lift poles and all those different things, you got to have a helicopter that can compete with everybody else in that market segment, and that's basically what the Blackhawks are doing. The math should have been just easy to say, yeah, this doesn't make sense. Like I can get a Blackhawk for what I can build a Huey for. But that's not the only determining factor. The other factor was Hueys are just cool. It's a piece of American aviation history. It's one of the most, if not the very most iconic helicopter of all time. It's the Vietnam helicopter. And I still kind of have a Huey on my vision board of helicopters that I would like to own. The reality is, life happens and there's time constraints and budget constraints, and you have to allocate your resources in the smartest way possible. And I found that spending that money on a Huey was going to end up potentially distracting me from other projects such as Blackhawks and other helicopters that I wanted to be able to turn around and sell. And the problem is, if I spend all that money on the Huey, I'm going to want to keep it. So then I have a bunch of cash tied up in a helicopter that I love and is cool, but it's not making me any money. So the Huey has been sold. I decided to sell it to another guy who does like specifically Huey builds. Like he's kind of like the guy, he's well known for it. I might have made around 75 grand, but by the time you factor in all the different costs and stuff involved, it wasn't a huge money maker, but I definitely didn't lose money. As you're watching this video, I know there's a lot of you who love aviation. You're very passionate about it. In fact, I've seen so many comments and emails and messages from people saying, hey, start a separate aviation channel just for aviation content, because a lot of you who are into aviation, you want a deeper look into this world. You want to know what the inspections are. Like I got the Blackhawk all opened up right now, and we have our A&P in here doing full like in-depth inspections. Those make for cool videos, but it's not necessarily a video for the masses. It's more for us aviation geeks. So we're definitely taking that into consideration. It's really hard to run multiple channels. It's hard to run one channel to be able to be consistent and create, you know, content that we can be proud of. So thinking about adding another channel with more complex stuff is just a little bit of a daunting task. So we're not going to do it for now, but just know that if it comes to the point where we feel like we could start that second channel and be able to post consistently and give you guys the value that we feel you deserve, then we'll make that happen. Next up, you guys remember the Delphine helicopters. I bought 2 Delphine helicopters back in 2022, 23. I bought them from a air ambulance service up in Ohio, and we flew them down to Thoroughbred Aviation in Kentucky. And there was 2 helicopters. There was the blue one, and then there was a white one. And the blue one was the Delphine N model, like a flat N. That means it's basically the oldest model that they made. And the other one is called an N2. And that's a more modern. That's basically 2 generations down from the latest model, because right now the latest model Delphine is the N3 Plus, and then there's the N3, and then there's the N2. N2 is a great helicopter, and the reason why I bought that deal is because that was the helicopter that I wanted to be able to keep around as a personal helicopter. Because what I found, and this may sound crazy to you aviation guys, but the Delphine is like the world's best private helicopter. In my opinion, you can't beat it. It's fast. It's pretty much as fast as the Blackhawk. It'll do 150, 160 knots. Single pilot, which is a big deal. As you know, the Blackhawk requires 2 pilots at all times. It's got retractable landing gear, so it flies really fast and smooth through the air. It's got seating for up to 10 people. So the way I view the Delphine is it's kind of like a little miniature Blackhawk. One of the main values for me with that helicopter is also the fact that it is a twin engine. Twin engine there's a love-hate relationship there, because with a twin engine helicopter, it's double the price on everything. Double the price when it comes to engine overhauls, double the price for parts and pieces. But the trade-off is you get double the safety, you get redundancy. In fact, I've been in a situation in a twin engine helicopter where one engine started acting up, and we got a light, and it basically told me to shut that engine off. So I did. I pulled that engine back, and I was able to continue flying with one single engine. I'm really glad I did, because that was over water. And if I was in a single engine helicopter, I would have had to try to auto rotation in the water, and that would have been a nightmare. So when it comes to safety and peace of mind for me and my family and my friends and everybody who flies with me, having that extra engine makes all the difference, and it's worth every penny more that we have to spend on it. So the blue one, we hurried and just kind of got the minimum inspections done on it. We flew it out here to Utah and flew it around for 2 years. You guys saw it in a ton of videos. That was a killer helicopter. It was awesome. Very simple systems compared to some of the newer Delphines. Didn't have like trim, didn't have really any fancy avionics or anything like that. No autopilot, but it was a fantastic helicopter. We got a couple hundred hours of flying out of it. And then I decided it was time to sell that, because the goal all along was to either A, have my partner and attorney, Cole, buy that one, or B, just to turn around and sell it. And we decided that it made more sense to just go ahead and sell it, because there's operators in the world who still need parts and pieces from those. And we found somebody who really was desperate for the engines and different parts off the helicopter. And so they bought it. I'd say we probably broke even on, but that's not factoring in the couple hundred hours of flight time. So basically got a few hundred hours of flight time for free. The second helicopter, the white one, the N2, was the one that, like I said, I decided I wanted to have around. And so we turned Joe, Thoroughbred, loose on kind of doing the inspections. And the original plan for that helicopter was we were going to do a full restoration, kind of like what we did with the Blackhawk. Strip it down, repaint it, like interior, just gut it down to the bare bones. Then we decided that, you know, the money that we would put into that helicopter to do that might not be returned in the way that would make the most sense. So I decided to spend a little less on the full refurbishment, and we're just kind of doing a few things. And I'll explain to you what's going on, because we're gonna be able to finally get that thing back on the channel here soon, because it's almost done. We're doing all the inspections. So on the Delphine, there was a big fuel control module that was calendar life limited, and basically said, hey, doesn't matter if it's good, you gotta swap it. And that was like a $150,000 piece. We are basically gutting the medical interior, getting rid of the stretcher, the oxygen, all the medical components, and turning it into a passenger interior that's going to be fairly basic. I like to keep the inside of those helicopters functional, because it gets trashed. People who fly in the helicopters with me, I'm usually picking them up in a muddy field, or we're loading a generator in the back, and we're using our helicopters like pickup trucks. We have not done anything on the paint yet, and the reason for that is because we're actually going to fly it out from Kentucky back here to Utah, and we're gonna do the paint job here at our shop. That's one thing I've been wanting to share with you guys. We are opening up a aircraft paint division here at Sparks Motors where we can paint helicopters, custom helicopter paint jobs. We might do some airplanes, but we're kind of focusing mostly on helicopters for now, just because it's the world that we know, and we've got the mechanics and all the right crew to be able to tear them apart the correct way and do really, really like amazing paint jobs, because there's a big hole in the market right now for good helicopter paint shops. You know, right now, if you want to get a good paint job done by somebody, there's like at least a 6-month wait pretty much anywhere you go. And we want to be able to help kind of alleviate some of that backlog of helicopters that need to be painted. So when the Delphine's ready to be picked up, then we're going to fly it back here to Utah. And once we get it here to Utah, we're going to tear it down again, strip all the paint off, and do our first fully custom helicopter paint job. We've painted helicopters in the past, but we've never gone all the way with them, meaning we've never stripped all the paint and everything off. The Delphine's gonna be a cool one because I'll be able to show you guys more of that build process, but it's not gonna be just something that gets done somewhere else and I just go pick it up. It's gonna be something where we're gonna bring it out here and show you guys kind of the whole process. And I'm really excited for that helicopter because having that second smaller helicopter around is really nice to be able to do certain missions. The Blackhawk is fantastic for big search and rescue missions, big lift jobs. We need to move a lot of people or a lot of gear, but that's not every single mission that we go on. Sometimes me and my family just need to get from here to, you know, Disneyland or wherever, and being able to jump in a single pilot helicopter that's really fast, that has autopilot, is a game changer. That's one thing about the N2, the White Delphine, it has autopilot. They're hard to beat, man. There's a reason why the Coast Guard has been flying them for so many years and like pretty much refuses to retire them. They just keep on flying. Like when we went out and flew with the Coast Guard, we saw that some of their helicopters had like 26 to 30,000 hours on them, and that's like pretty normal. That's a lot of hours on an airframe, and they just keep on going. My BO-105s have all been sold. You guys saw earlier in this video, the red one that I sold to Garrett, he just got a paint job done on it. He's selling that helicopter if anybody's interested, and I believe there's an opportunity to buy a spare helicopter with it for a bunch of spare parts and different things like that. I gotta talk to you about the CH-46, the mini Chinook out in Carson City. On that helicopter, we're making a deal with Rick to be able to basically get it flying again and figure out what to do with it. Now, the reason why that you haven't seen much of that helicopter yet is because to be able to get that helicopter and bring it into kind of the environment, how we use them, like the Blackhawk, it is an incredible amount of work. Not only is it a lot of work on the maintenance side to be able to go through and put it back together and get it safe and airworthy and pass the inspections, but then to be able to fly it, since it's still considered a military aircraft, there's not nearly as much support out there as there is in the Blackhawk world to be able to create a program with the FAA that says, hey, this is a helicopter that is going to be used for XYZ purposes that is no longer in the military. So it would have to go in the experimental category, which is totally doable. It's just, you're talking months, if not years of paperwork. And we've started doing some of that, but the reason we haven't touched the helicopter yet is because we don't want to start the project and just have it take forever. Like once we get it going, we want to go full speed ahead and do it all at the same time. So just know that the 46 is still kind of on our plate, but unfortunately it's still just at a bit of a standstill until we get all of the paperwork side of it ironed out. Separate from that, I think that covers pretty much all of our helicopter projects at the moment. I do have some huge projects happening in the aviation space in general. That's part of one of the big announcements I wanted to share with you guys soon, which I still can't. I'm close, but I know I say that in every video. Unfortunately, we're just waiting on attorneys to do what attorneys do. And the final thing I want to share with you is you guys earlier in this video saw my new Blackhawk, the camo one that we stopped by and took a quick peek at. We're going to be giving you a full build series on that too. We're going to show you kind of exactly what we're doing, how we're demilitarizing it, and what we're doing to basically turn it into a private helicopter. You saw the paint. And the paint job on it right now is cool, but it's just a little too much tan for me. It's a little it's not quite there. And I don't want to repaint that whole helicopter, at least not yet anyways, just because that means it's down for several months and it's just a tremendous amount of work and money. We'll put this here on screen, but basically we're gonna use the existing camo paint and we're gonna add some black and we're gonna cover up a bunch of the tan and we're gonna basically just make it kind of that woodland camo, but smaller splotches and less tan. So I would love for you guys to drop a comment below and let me know what you think of this. So lots of really cool updates and exciting stuff coming for you guys on that build. We'll keep you updated on the snow camo one that we flew home in this video. That's it for the aviation update video. Guys, we appreciate you, love you. I love the fact that you guys follow along because, you know, if you're watching these videos, it means you're excited about the same stuff that we're excited about, and we couldn't do it without you. So thank you, and we'll see you guys out there.
Guys, okay, it's been almost 60 days. Dave has had me locked up in his back bungalow. I think I'm in his backyard somewhere, but the door's locked. He left a bunch of snacks here. It's just been like these kind of weird snacks. I don't know, that's like a cheese thing. He told me I can't leave until I finish this project. It's been at least 60 days. I know that because I have one of those little like Christmas rings. I've been taking a ring off every day. But dude, it's been this. I think this might be upside down right now, but you get the idea. I think he's gonna put a link in his bio. I'm gonna send this to John right now. We're not supposed to put this in this episode. His kids are like pacing outside the door right now. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm trying to get out of this place. I don't even know what day it is. This is crazy.